Good afternoon, friends. This is Amit Vaishampan on behalf of Tally Solutions, and I'm trying to uh, share some of the knowledge on issues of internal and statutory audit using Tally ERP 9. I hope all of you are in position to listen to me. In case if you're not, then you can share it to me with the chat, and I'll ask the organizers to take care of the same. Okay. Uh, so starting with this topic, internal and statutory audit. This topic being very generic in its nature, I would like all of us to be on the same page. Since the number of attendees is about 201, it is very difficult for me to put everybody on the same platform. But let's first understand certain issues the way I understand. Since it is an internal audit, there has to be understanding of the organization for which we'll be carrying out internal audit. Since currently we are going to use Tally as a platform, the understanding of the organization becomes essential. As far as software people are concerned, we normally have a tendency to categorize the organizations into these three classes of auditees. One is that the type of auditees who are more than 200 pieces, 250 PCs, 250 laptops, whatever you can have. Organizations where there are less than 200 PCs but more than 50 PCs, and organizations which are having less than 50 PCs. Now this is I'm typically referring to accounts department, accounts admin, operations kind of a department. If you can see the screen, there are about 50, wherever the organizations where there are PCs, number of PCs are less than 50, typically we call it as with the Tally rules. Okay, that means there is a Tally by default being used, whether the owners like it, whether the accountants like it, whether they don't like it, whether the IT guys like it or they don't like it. Tally is what is being used, and it is consistently being used. In case of more than 50 but less than 250 PCs, Tally is used as an accounting tool typically, because normally these are the organizations which require other islandic software as well. They may have an HR software separately, they may have a Salesforce software separately, they may have an inventory management tool separately, or so on and so forth. But they are typically using Tally as an accounting tool. In case of companies which are organizations which are more than having more than 250 PCs, more than 250 users who are using the operational software or the accounting software, there are bits and pieces of people who are using Tally. I normally call it as secretly, because then it does not become their official software. They normally have an SAP or an Navision or that size of a software, which is an organization certified software. But there are small group of people who are, I normally call it as secretly using Tally. It's not secretly per se the way you understand. It is the licensed Tally users, but that does not become their official kind of a software. uh, okay, now coming back to these focused organizations where there are less than 50 PCs, i further tend to classify these organizations into three types: more than 50 PCs, number of PCs more than 50, less than 50 but more than 5, and less than 5. Now I normally advocate, and as I maybe rightly or wrongly doing so, uh, wherever the organizations are so small, the micro kind of an organization, the tiny micro kind of an organization where there are less than 5 number of PCs, the requirement of audit per se is very less, is very poor, because it's one man show kind of an organization or two man show kind of an organization where every information is practically available, transparently available, and they are aware about every single information. So per se audit is may not be that requirement there. The requirement starts when as the organization starts growing and you have more than 5 PCs and less than 50 PCs, or more than 50 PCs. Now this is where the internal audit typically comes into picture. You will have to have audit to be conducted under GST Act, under Income Tax Act, under Companies Act, etc., and those are the statutory audits which will take it up towards the end of this session. Okay, before we start getting into the topic, I would say this total session is going to be about 300 about 2 hours, and approximately 200 and odd number of attendees are already attending the same. What I'll do is that it is right now, say 3 o'clock and 8 minutes. By 3:30 or so, or 3:40 or so, I'll take a first break. So all those people who have any questions, or there is some point which they need an elaboration on whatever that I'm discussing, they can always send it to a chat along with their email ID, and we'll try and reply it within the given frame of time. If that is not possible, then we'll certainly get back to you. So whenever you send your query through using your chat, please mention your email ID or contact number as well, so that we will be in a position to revert back to you. If not in this session, then maybe in a ensuing time or whatever it is. I have also mentioned my mobile number and the email ID of mine and my organization in the PPT that I'm showing it to you at the bottom. So you can also write your queries to me, or on email or on mobile, and I'll try and revert back to you. Okay, having said that, as far as internal audit as my first topic is concerned, typically you need a program, some kind of assumptions. So I am starting this session with this basic formula of assumption, that sales minus cost is a profit, and I take it as a first basic business formula on which we are going to conduct internal audit. Internal audit is a very generic topic, and one can conduct internal audits into various forms. As far as this session is concerned, I am no way to give you a great knowledge of internal audit as such, but I would definitely try to enlighten some of the beautiful features of Tally, which Tally has been giving. I am a chartered accountant by profession and also a Tally implementer. So I have seen people using Tally and claiming that yes, I know Tally, but when it comes to a ground reality, I have realized that there are a good number of people who are not even aware about what the Tally features are. Okay, now having seen this formula, I'm going to use two of my companies, which are my companies. I mean, one is my chartered accountancy firm, Vaishnavan Associate. The other one is VServe Consultants, where I sell Tally. So these are two diverse companies, where which the business in which I am in Vaishnavan Associates, which is my surname. I typically provide chartered accountancy service, and in VServe Consultants, I typically sell Tally. So now, if I want to see what is my performance for both these companies together as a part of that basic formula that I have shown it to you as a business formula, what am I required to do is to create a group company. I want to see my total turnover for both these businesses together. So what I am required to do, which in my case I have already created that. If you are into this type of situation, what is required to be done is that you are required to press Alt F3, which will allow you to have create a group company. Now this option of creation of group company would be available to you only when you have the active companies open, right? In my case, I have already created a group company called as Amit Group Company. So I'm just going and selecting this Amit Group Company. Okay, now you can see this is a group company where the other two companies which are part of that group are already visible. Now, if I want to see what is my profit and loss account, this is my total profit and loss account. I will use the normal Alt N options, company options. I can see all the three companies, right? I'm pressing F1, Alt F1 to get the details. Now, if you observe this Amit Group Company, it is nothing else but it has picked up the balances from the two companies, Vaishnavan Associate as well as VServe. So Amit Group Company, there is no data entry carried out by me. There are no ledgers created by me. It has just picked up entire data of Vaishnavan Associate as well as VServe, has consolidated that, and it is showing it to you. Now, this is one of the fantastic feature. We can also use the next feature that is available here, which is F12. Sorry, I say I want to see percentages. Now, if you can see, The same company, I am also getting percentages. So now I know what is the total amount of sales that I have carried out in each of the company. What is the sale of Vaishnapan Associate? What is the sale of VServe? What is the gross profit and cost of sales of Vaishnapan Associate as well as VServe? And I can also get a different ledgers. Since both the companies are under my control, I have possibly tried and maintained the same nomenclatures. So you can see the same ledgers appearing, and we have tried and maintained the similarity as far as possible. So this is how the P&L can look like. In my opinion, this is one of the fantastic features of Tally. I have seen chartered accountants and users spending quantum amount of time just trying to create this group companies by exporting each individual company into Excel sheet and then creating the consolidated profit and loss account and consolidated balance sheet. You can also see a consolidated balance sheet using this group company. Again, the same thing, go to balance sheet, press Alt N, select company, and you will get the company balance sheets. I'm pressing Alt F1, get the details. Now, if you can see, as far as the Vaishnapan Associate is concerned, we have the capital balances. But as far as VServe is concerned, there is no capital balance because the VServe database is typically a division database. VServe part is the only part of VServe which is under my control. VServe is a kind of a national level company which has got branches at various locations: New Delhi, Calcutta, Thane, Surat, etc. Now this is typically the location for which I am handling, so there is no capital account there. Nevertheless, as far as the total group company is concerned, you are having all the capital accounts. You can also see loans, you can see current liabilities, you can see branches and divisions, and the rest of the ledgers. I am presuming that so far the concept of group company and the consolidated company has been well communicated. So I'll now start moving to the next feature of Tally from the point of view of internal audit. Okay, let me go back to the PPT. This was a basic business formula, and we also seen how the Tally group company typically operates whenever you have multiple businesses. Now let me drill down to the basic formula. This is the part that we have already seen, consolidated. Now let me drill down to the next basic formula. The formula was sales minus cost is equal to profit. Now what is sales? Your sales is typically your quantity into rate, right? So now this is how we will describe the sales part of it. It is quantity into rate. So the quantity typically can be treated as a function of number of transactions into number of products, right? So now it is very essential from audit perspective or internal audit perspective or a business understanding perspective as to what is the total number of transactions that have been carried out in the company. Okay, let me first close this group company. I'm cutting this company. Now these are the two companies that we will be typically operating. Now in order to see what is the total number of transactions that we have done, I'm taking you to display, I'm taking you to statement of accounts, I'm taking you to statistics, and this is one company that I'm getting. I can also select Alt N and say company. So now I have two companies, one is Vaishnapan Associates and one is VServe. So these are the two companies that I have, and these are the number of transactions that I have done during this period. Now for this purpose, two companies may not be relevant. I may be just needing for myself to compare this with my own same company, the previous records as well. So let me check with last 3 years records and let me check the transaction. So now I'm saying I've selected one company. Okay, let me redo that whole process. I've selected one company. I'm going to display, I'm going to statement of accounts, I'm going to statistics. I'm giving a period of 3 years since I have data for all the 3 years in the same database. Now I say Alt N and I say yearly. Now I'm getting my statistical data for my sale type of transaction. During 16-17, I did 1002 number of sales type of transaction. In 17-18, I did totally 212, which is my sales type of transaction, and in 17-18, it was a GST was also introduced. So we started with a new voucher called sales GST as 212 plus 1056, and in the third year of mine, that is 19-20, we have done, just one sec, I'll shift this. We have done 258 sales B2C, which is the third type of voucher that we did. We created, and the sales GST as a type of transaction, right? So now this is where I get the number of transactions. So my first criteria in terms of number of transactions is that whether am I growing in terms of number of sales or not, number of transactions or not. When it comes to business analytics, it is very essential for me to know whether the company is growing or company is shrinking in terms of number of transactions, right? Hope I am in a position to communicate this, because this is one of the essential figures and essential information for the purpose of internal audit, and this information is very readily available. What I have shown you for sales is also available for purchase, it's also available for receipts, is also available for payments, so on and so forth. So you can actually comparatively see all the figures of all the years or of the type of transactions. Since the principle that I have started with the basic formula of sales minus cost is equal to profit, I'm referring to sales because this is the place where I get to see the number of transactions, right? Now the number of transactions is only a statistics. I also need to know from whom, with whom have I done these transactions. So then it becomes the next challenging kind of information, which is my critical information as to for me to know with whom I have done these transactions. So then I'm going back to this screen. Okay, we have seen the number of transactions. Okay, there's one more report here called daybook. If you are doing an internal audit, which is kind of a concurrent type of an audit, then it is very essential that you must be in a position to monitor the transactions on a daily basis. Suppose you are giving a monthly report, then even this daybook report, which is available in Tally, can give you a good view of the company in terms of, since you are aware about what all the transactions that has happened on a particular day, you can always refer to this daybook kind of a transaction or type of a report, and you can refer to the management as to what all type of transactions that has happened on a particular day or during the year. And these are the daybook reports. Though I'm showing you for the entire year, this daybook report is ideally meant for a smaller period, per day, per week, per fortnight, etc. And you can actually take two reports and compare and find out which are the appended vouchers. Okay, let me wait for a minute till it generates the report, the daybook for the entire year. Okay, now this is my daybook report for the entire year. So I get to see all the transactions. On the right hand side bottom, you people will be in a position to see the 4,620 more number of transactions. So totally there will be some 4,640 or odd number of transactions that must have been recorded using various types of vouchers as far as this my particular company is concerned, right? Now this is a very generic report. I'm sure most of you being Tally users, you must be regularly using this daybook report. Then comes the next stage of seeing the customer's report as to number of transactions we have seen. Now it is essential for us to see the customers with whom have we done these transactions. So these transactions typically would have been done with our customers. So we go to display, we go to accounts books, we go to group summary, we select sundry debtors. Okay, now this is the list of debtors that we're getting. I'm pressing this F12, configure. I'm saying opening balance yes, transactions yes. I'm saying sorting method, amount decreasing yes. It will show the highest transactions, the highest value transactions on the top, and it will show me the lowest transactions towards the end. So I would have done transactions with some 356 plus another 20 number of customers which are visible on the screen. Now this Accord group typically is a group of companies. So there are sub companies within that, and I can also see the transactions with these companies typically. Okay, so this is how I get to know the number of transactions that I have done with these companies. These are my, this is how you will be able to see I have done these transactions. The first report in statistics, when we were seeing that report of some 1200 and odd number of sales transactions, it was giving us as to what is the total number of transactions that we did. Now this is the report that is giving us as to with whom have we done the transaction. If you can read this report, the debit and credit shows the amount of invoices received, the amount of invoices generated, as well as the amount of money received or credit notes passed, right? So if you can see the debit balance, it totals down to something like 1 crore 87 lakhs, and credit balance which totals to 2 crore 5 lakhs, which results into some recovery from the debtors. The original debtors, outstanding debtors at the beginning were something like 73 lakhs, which at the end of the year became 56 lakhs. So this is how this report can be read. This shows my sales as well as the credit note options, the receipt options. I hope this report is very clear. I'm sure most of you must be using this report, but this becomes a very critical report when it comes to understanding of the sales part, the understanding of the number of transactions part. Okay, now let me quickly go back to, this is the report that we were seeing: accounts books, group summary, sundry debtors, and F12. Now comes another critical report, which is very essential in my opinion and very useful as well. Typically we have this sales register and purchase register. Now I have this sales register for a particular month. I can also see it for an year. And if you can see this screen on the right hand side, there is a key called F6 extract. Now it is giving me a list of all my sales during the month of March, which totals down to some 7 lakh and odd rupees, with 61 plus another 20 transactions, so 81 different type of transactions. If I have to see this for the entire year, I can change the period and put it as April 18 to March 19. I have a key here. Now I don't know, totally I've done some 1440 number of transactions. Now I don't know, I want to know I have done how much transaction with which customer. So I have a simple option here. I just go and press this F6 and it gives me a ready report available from Tally, which, okay, now this is the report which gives me, this is my total billing. Now it gives me a billing against each customer. What is the total amount value of billing I did against each customer at one go. So I know during the year with this particular customer, what is the total value of transaction that I have done. These are the various customers that I have. And towards the end, I'll be able to see the sales figure. Just scrolling down to show you. Yeah, this is my sales figure. This is my professional services rendered figure, and this is the total of my sales. So I can see it customer wise sales figure, right? Now this again depends on which way you want to perceive the business. Well, there are various types of interpretations. They say that there should be more number of customers, more number of products, etc., etc. Well, now coming back to the basic screen, the previous screens that we have seen in PPT, going back to the basic formula, sales being a function of transactions and number of products. Now the next activity would be to go for the product function. Okay, now the product function, typically you need to have the second report, which typically talks about product. Okay, now this is Vaishampana Associates. It's a chartered accountancy firm. So I'll just switch to the other company, which is VServe, which is my product company. So there you can go and see the stock summary. Now we can see the configure. I'm saying sorting method, amount was decreasing, and I want to sort it on the basis of outwards, that is on the basis of number of sales, maximum sales I have done with which product. So now I'm in a position to see my screen, which tells me what is the total quantum of transactions I did during this period. So during this period, I have purchased 363 number of products and I have sold 306, I have purchased 363 number of products. I have sold 361 number of products and I have 2 number of products in stock. Now, typically, as we are Tally dealers, as it goes, Tally has only one product called Tally Solutions. But when it comes to ground reality, it again results into the various versions of Tally, as we have Tally Silver, Tally Gold, and we have TS9. We also have Tally Silver yearly subscription. We have Tally Gold yearly subscription. We call it as TSS Silver, TSS Gold, and we also have a Tally Auditor version and Tally Upgrade. So it becomes a number of products. So my total number of transactions will automatically result into number of transactions for number of products, right? So it becomes very essential in case of this Tally business for me to know as to whether every customer who's there with me, whether that customer has done transaction with me or not, right? So this is what it shows me, that the number of licenses that I've bought and sold. Now what is required at this stage for me is the one more activity that is typically required as a part of my configure, is that I have this question here which tells me, please show me gross value of outwards. So I say yes to this and I press Control A and it saves. Now it is showing me a gross value of outward, right? It is showing me a gross value of outward of mine. Now it is showing me a gross value of outward of mine. The next thing that I would need to see in this is go to configure and I want the system to show me what is my profit per transaction as well and the profit on the gross value as well. So I select show me profit. Now I can see the profit on the value as well, which comes to around 10% on the entire value. And for each type of product, you can see somewhere I am having 10% of the margin, sometimes somewhere I'm having nearly 12% of the margins, somewhere again I am having 10%, but overall it comes to some 10.56 as my total amount of value of margins that I'm getting upfront as far as these Tally products are concerned, right? Okay, so this is what the first cut of activities were. I hope so far there are no questions. And Komal, if you're there, should we take a break for a minute and ask the attendees if they have any questions so that we can start off with the next session?
Yes, sir. So we can see there are quite a few questions in the question box. So we can address those.
Let me just check that. No, I could not see any questions here.
So
Questions.
one
Yeah,
of the
I got a question.
and
Questions. Okay, I got 1 second. Okay. Okay. How to create a group company? Okay, this was the question. Okay, now let me just demonstrate you how to create a group company. In order to create a group company, you need to have minimum 2 companies open on your screen.
one of the question being, in case of group company, once I created, then if we make any changes in individual company, will the group company automatically incorporate changes?
Yes. Once the changes are made in individual companies, group company will automatically incorporate the change.
Okay, next question. Is there any option by which we can see entry booked by cash or check payment and cash or check receipt entry either in sundry ledgers account or sundry creditor account?
I didn't get the question. Can you repeat, please?
Is there any option by which we can see entry booked by cash or check payment either in sundry ledgers account or sundry creditor account?
No, the question is still not clear. Probably.
I think you can ask him to clarify again.
See, I'm not understanding what question is, but I will show you where the transactions can be visible. One simple way is that you can go to display, you can go to statement of accounts, you can go to statistics and find out what type of payment it is. You can go to payment voucher and select which are the type of payment transactions. If you know which month, which date, etc. If you don't know that, then you can always go back to the same old good old method of accounts books, cash and bank, pick up cash or bank ledger and search for that particular transaction. If you know the party, you can go to that ledger, go to the select a party. Say in my case, it's 20 cubes is the ledger that I'm referring to. Okay, there will not be 20 cube here. I'll say brass. This brass copper is one of the ledger that I have, and I can look for whether there is any transaction there. I can always change the period and look for into the for the entire period. Okay, it's done. Does not have a transaction. All these companies are not having transaction. But this is the way where you can actually check that. Depends on which is the type of transaction that you're having. Now this is my printery from where I get the printing stationery done. So you can see the transaction of purchase as well as the payment transaction. Is this good enough answer or hello, Komal? Yeah,
Yes,
is this
sir.
good enough,
So
or there's any other explanation required in
it
your
should be,
opinion?
I think if any explanation would be required, we would get a further question. So moving
Okay.
on, how
Okay.
the debtors are sorted on values.
Okay, I'll show you that. You can go to display. You can go to statement of accounts. Either you can go to outstanding, or you can, let's go straight from balance sheet. Go to balance sheet. Go to current assets. Go to sundry debtors. So these are my debtors. Now I always have an option to sort out. To sort out all these things, you have to go to F12. Once you select F12, it has an option. It can show you opening balance, yes. It shows you opening balance, yes. Transactions, yes. Normally net transactions are not required. Closing balance is yes. And you have an option here called sorting method. So you can select a sorting method and say amount wise normally decreasing, because you need to know the highest transaction, highest customer as a first view. Okay. Okay, Komal, can you the next question?
Yes. So next question is, how can we check the debtor balances overdue more than 180 days if the payment is matching with the invoices?
Yeah, I don't mind taking this question, but there is a separate session on this which Fugat sir is taking, I think another 1 or 2 days time.
Okay.
That section he will be actually dealing with all debtors and creditors also, debtors, creditors and stock as well. I think it's going to be a full complete 2-hour session for this. Anyway, nevertheless, since the question has come, let me just show it to him. This is display, this is statement of accounts, this is outstanding. You can go receivable and payable. Here select your sundry debtors. It gives you outstanding, and it also gives you outstanding overdue by number of days. If you want, you can give age wise, and you can select a method of aging by bill date or by due date and give a periodicity. I've already given this periodicity. If someone is actually working simultaneously, his or her machine may not have the periodicity, but this is the report that you get, whereby you will be able to get the breakup of debtors or creditors into number of days, less than 30 days, 30 to 60 days, 60 to 90 days, so on and so forth. Okay, I hope this question is answered. You can go to the next question, Komal.
Next question is, in case of a group company system, if only one bank account has been kept for both the company, then how to do the bank reconciliation easily?
Basically, one bank account for two companies is unfair, because you have two separate books only when you have two separate entities. So ideally, two separate entities will not be having one bank account. If that is the situation that both the two entities are using only one bank account, then that means one company will be always using that bank account as a mirror bank account. So the entire bank account would be recorded in one database, and the other database only will have a mirror image of that bank account. Because you ideally, as far as principles of accounting is concerned, you normally will not be representing one bank account into two separate databases. Otherwise, you'll have to always kind of merge two databases, and then only your bank reconciliation will take place. Like for example, if you have 3 lakh rupees in a bank balance, and both the companies will have equal balance of 1.5 lakh rupees, something like that. This is my view about it. Of course, there can be various views about it and various methodologies of doing that, but ideally speaking, it's not the right way to maintain books. Komal, you can take the next question.
So next question is, sometimes companies making payment and receipt entry in either sundry creditor or debtor account instead of loan account. How to identify that ledger in sundry creditor or debtor group?
Repeat the question, please. Sometimes companies make, yeah.
Companies making payment and receipt entry in either sundry creditor or debtor account instead of the loan account. How to identify that ledger in sundry creditor or debtor group?
Okay, why a sundry creditor debtor? Anyway, basically, I'm presupposing that the ledgers are properly created. Now there can be a situation where you have a party who's also a lender and who's also a creditor or a customer or a supplier. So in such cases, it's a possibility that you need to maintain two separate accounts for that party. One is a debtor ledger and one is a creditor's ledger. Like for example, I will show you in my I think in Vaishnavan Associate also I will be having it. I'll have the corresponding party accounts where the same party would be appearing as a debtor as well as customer. So you have this Vaishnavan Associate loan account here, which is appearing as a creditor, sundry creditor, and the same Vaishnavan Associate is maybe available here as a customer account as well. Can you see this? In the books of VServe Consultants, I am maintaining two accounts for Vaishnavan Associate. One is under sundry debtors as a debtors account, and one is under sundry creditors as loan account. So I need to create some kind of a distinguish between the two. So I've renamed those two ledgers and created two separate ledgers. This is what I feel as the most appropriate way to have it, because Companies Act typically has a lot of disclosure requirements, and for a accountant also it becomes easier to disclose. Nevertheless, when I'll discuss the financial statements, I'll show you it. Financial statement portion allows you to split a particular ledger's balance and show it in two separate locations in financial statements. That is your balance sheet, which we'll discuss towards the end of this session for Caro representation. Next question, so Komal.
Should we continue with the next question, or we can take the questions later on? Done with the
We'll
15
continue with the
minutes.
session. We'll continue with the session, and then we'll take the question answers again towards the end. Okay, so we were at this transactions, right? So we have done the transactions using the stock summary, group summary of customers, as well as stock summary reports of stock number of products as well. Okay, now the next important report in my opinion is the comparative cost. So whenever we are checking the companies, it is essential for us to check whether the cost comparison is coming correctly. So this is my profit and loss account. I'll change the company. This is my profit and loss account, and now I'm selecting a larger period, say from 16 till March 19. So I'm getting 3 years, and I'm saying Alt N, and I can get it yearly. So now I'm getting a comparative. Now I'm getting a comparative profit and loss account, whereby I can actually compare the profit and loss account. I can also use F12 here and use a percentage here, and it gives me percentage to sale for all the 3 years, and I can compare it and check it for my internal audit or my understanding purposes. If I want to know what is my administrative cost year wise, I just have to go there and press shift enter. The moment I press shift enter, I am in a position to get the details of administrative costs year wise. Okay, so this is one of the reports that is required. So when we have to compare the cost for each year, same is what we can do it for the other company. Profit and loss account to last 3 years period. All 10 and yearly profit and loss account. Again, same profit and loss account for the other company as well. These are the comparative profit and loss account. I have shown you yearly. If you see this all 10 type of reports, you see this all 10 type of reports, it actually gives you a facility to see the profit and loss account on a daily basis, fortnightly basis, half yearly basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis, whichever basis that you want to have. So depends on what periodicity for which you are doing internal audit or business audit, you can actually compare it and see how the transactions has happened and how the cost has performed. Okay, I'm going to the next slide now. Okay. Okay. The next report, in my opinion, which is there in Tally and which is at times comes very handy, is to find out where my profit has gone. I have a profit, but I don't know where the profit is getting stuck. So I have this report called fund flow. So I go to display, I go to fund flow, and I select a period. Now this screen shows me that I have earned money from these places and I have spent money on these places, and the differential is here. So this is my receipt, this is my expenditure, and the expenditure has come from here. The source of funding is from, say in this case, the source of funding is basically from increase in sundry creditors. My sundry creditors professional has increased, which has resulted into my funding coming in, right? So this one report, which actually helps, if you see it for a period of year, it actually gives you as to from where the money has come, how much money has come, and where it has gone, and also the internal movement of funding. Okay. Now from the audit perspective, if you go to display, you can go to exceptional reports, and first two reports. This is Vaishampayan Associate, which is my chartered accountancy firm. So you can see that the negative stock is not active. So it is only talking about negative ledgers, and it gives you a report of negative ledgers, and it gives me these negative ledgers as because Accord is a customer and is having a credit balance. Agility is a customer and having a negative balance, a credit balance. A customer ideally cannot have a credit balance. A customer having credit balance shows that I am supposed to pay to customer, which cannot be a situation. Should show, as far as accounting is concerned, there is obviously some kind of an error as far as accounting with this particular customer is concerned. So this exceptional report basically shows you where the ledger has been created and it is showing a wrong type of balance. So all these customers are showing a negative balance. It's showing a credit balance, that as if I am supposed to pay to them. So ideally, money has been received for some other purpose, say for the purpose of payment of tax, etc., and I have not squared it off while making payment of tax. That's the reason these customers are showing as a credit balance. Similarly, there is a customer here with whom I have he's not my customer, he's my supplier, with whom I have kept my deposit. That's the reason this particular amount is showing as a debit balance, because he's my supplier, and supplier is not supposed to be having a debit balance. That situation cannot be that I am supposed to receive money, but this is basically nothing else but a deposit. So it's a matter of accounting, how I want to account for it. That is the reason this particular report becomes very effective. Similarly, if we go for the other company, let me change the company to VServe. Once we select VServe, now we have the negative stock. Okay, the stock is not negative because entire stock we have squared it off. Let me check if at all we can have it in some other period. No. As far as Tally is concerned, there is no question of having negative stock because we only buy and sell stock. So there is no forward selling that is happening. So there is no negative stock. So this report is coming empty because it's not there. There are other type of reports also. Overdue receivables, overdue payables are all exceptional reports. Okay. Whenever time permits, we'll go through that. But right now, I'm not covering these reports. There are specific lectures that are designed for covering those reports as well. Okay. Now, let me take to the next PPT. This is fund flow, negative stock and negative ledgers. Then comes the sales order and purchase order. Okay, now this is one of the great features. Of course, this feature I'm presupposing that sales order has been activated. These two are my companies where I normally do business, so there is no sales order is not activated. In Tally, we use LMS, so sales order is not required. In case of chartered accountants business, again there is no concept of sales order. So I'm opening one company. This is one company that we use it, and in which we have installed sales orders. So we have this, I'll just change the period to 1920 because this company has a data in 1920. This is actually a database that we use for the purpose of training chartered accountant students. So this is, if you can see here, there's an order vouchers which are activated. These order vouchers are part of your F11. You need to activate this order vouchers in inventory features. In this particular company, you see this purchase order and sales orders. These two vouchers are being activated. Once you activate these two vouchers, sales orders and purchase orders, you are in a position to generate sales orders and purchase orders and account for it as well. I'll just show you that report for sales orders. Display, statement of accounts, sorry, statement of inventory, sales order outstanding. I'm just picking up all orders. This is one of the orders. Now I'm pressing the detailed option. Okay, now if you can read this report, as far as internal audit, and if at all the company is recording sales orders properly, if you are in a position to read this report along with me, you have this sales orders due for the period from 1st April 19 to 31st March 20, and the sales order is outstanding for a product called Bush 1, and there's a sales order number called SO001. The order quantity was 100 numbers. Now if you can see that down below, this is the first SO, which stands for sales order. After sales order, that means there is a customer's purchase order, and which we have entered into our system as a sales order. We have delivered 50 numbers. We have also generated an invoice for 50 numbers. Our customer has rejected 5 numbers, and we have also accepted the rejected material, and we have generated a credit note for 5 numbers. So in nutshell, we have supplied against a sales order of 100 numbers, we have supplied 45 numbers effectively. The 55 numbers are balanced at the rate of 100, and the value is 550. Now on the right hand side, you can see there are various options of pre-closure as well. You can always deliver further material against this particular sales order and close it, or you can simply pre-close it and close this. This is your sales order outstanding. Similar report I'll show it to you for purchase order outstanding. As far as audit is concerned, there is something called as contingent liability which requires to be certified. This is order outstanding, purchase order outstanding becomes a very essential report if at all order processing is installed and implemented in all the databases. This becomes a very handy report for the management as well as for the auditors to find out. Now in this particular case, there is a stainless steel as a product. The original purchase order was for 20 kg. The purchase was received for 10 kg. The material was received with GRN for 10 kgs. There is a purchase for 10 kgs. Then there is a rejection out for 5 kgs, and there is also a debit note for 5 kgs. So out of 20 kgs, only 15 kgs is only 5 kgs is received, and 15 kgs is still a balance, and the rate agreed was 1800 rupees, and this is the value. And again, the same pre-closure, that the way it operates, right? So this is as far as your sales order and purchase order is concerned. Fine. Let me go to the next feature. This is sales order and purchase order processing. Let me close this company which I had opened specifically for the order processing. Okay, now let me go back to this. There are a good number of features available. One of the feature which Tally gives you is this particularly known as audit and compliance, which is this feature. Friends, this feature is available only and only when you have activated the users, right? So first, what is required to have, if at all on your screen you're not getting this particular feature activated, what is required to be done is that you need to first create users using Alt F3 in Alter Company. Okay, it's very essential that these features are activated. Once user is created, it's only then this audit and compliance feature would be activated. By default, if you are not created users, any of the users are not created, then you will not find this audit and compliance feature being activated. It is very essential that you must have this audit user creation feature must have been activated, and at least one user of admin must be created. So let me start off with this audit feature. Friends, there are lots of details that are there as far as audit feature is concerned. In fact, Tally had a product called Tally Auditors, and some of the chartered accountants are very successfully using that product very well. I am aware about some of them or few of them. Okay, let me start off here with the audit and analysis tool, which gives you a lot of information and a place where to record a lot of information for the purpose of audit. Okay, now first is verification of chart of accounts. Now this is the first thing that we normally verify when we go to for any audits. This is the verification of chart of accounts. If I select this verification of chart of accounts and press enter, I get typically an analysis of my entire chart of accounts. Chart of account means your entire trial balance basically with all your ledgers. Now I'm getting a report with my accounts squared off during the year. So I have some 352 ledgers which are squared off during the year. That means these are the ledgers which are not having opening balances, and they will not be having closing balances as well. So if I just press enter, it gives me a list of all those ledgers which had transactions during the year. If you can see that report on the screen, you can see this particular report where there are no opening balances, there is a debit balance, there is a credit balance, and there is no closing balance. So these are all those accounts. Almost 347 ledgers would be there in this particular database, which will actually give you all those ledgers, list of ledgers which are squared off during the year. Then the next lot of ledgers which are not used ledgers. So in my database, I typically have 860 ledgers which are not used at all. That means the ledgers are there, they are created, they do not have an opening balance, they do not have a closing balance, and there are no transactions as well into these ledgers. Now this is a matter of concern, especially if there are any customer ledgers which are there as a part of this. That means because there is a customer and the customer is no more working with us, right? So this becomes a list of all those ledgers, and especially from business owners perspective, it becomes a very critical kind of an information as to why this particular ledger is lying there and I am not having any business with this customer, if it is whether it is a supplier or a customer, right? Next is, these are the ledgers which are not used in the current year. Okay, so the first one was not used at all, but these are the ledgers which are not used in the current year. That means these are probably the ledgers which will have opening balance, but they are not used in the current years. They have an opening balance and probably they are stagnant ledgers. So these are additional ledgers over and above the same. Now these are some 78 ledgers here which talks about only balances. That means these are the ledgers where there are balances are being there, but they are not, there are no transactions. Now this is again becomes a very dangerous situation as far as the ledgers are concerned, because the number of ledgers keep increasing with no transactions, and there is some dumb balance that remains there. Sorry, I just pressed enter twice. Now these are the ledgers where there is only balance and there are no transactions with the same, right? This is the list of, these are one of the very useful productive list of reports as far as chart of accounts is concerned, in my view. Now these are the ledgers which are used only in the current years. That means these are the these are the list of ledgers which have been newly created ideally. Okay, and if you can see it on the screen, it also shows you that the date on which the voucher was entered into this. These are the ledgers which are created, and it also gives you a date on which the ledger was created. I hope people are in a position to see that. There is a column here called first voucher date. So it also gives you either the opening balance given or first voucher given. Whichever date on which the transaction takes place, the value takes place in this ledger, the tally tries to give you a report whereby you can find out that these are the list of ledgers which are created during the year, and there's a date on which the transaction has been recorded. Okay, now let's move on to the next report. Komal, am I going too fast?
Sir.
Am I going too fast?
No, sir. I think there was one complaint earlier that asking you to be slow. So
Okay.
there are four ways hands are raised. Can we address them?
Okay, take it.
So, Mr. Anil Talreja,
Okay.
so you have a question?
Good afternoon, Anil sir.
Good afternoon.
Tell me, sir.
Something mic is on.
Sir, little louder. I can't.
Whether sales order makes effect on our sale.
Sales order does not hit your sales ledger. Sales order is a separate type of database where the sales order books are there. Let me just show it to you at once, since you have raised this question. I'll have to give me a minute's time. I'll just go back to that database. I'm opening this database. Go to display, go to inventory books, go to sales order book, and this is where your sales order appears. Sales order does not affect the ledger of the party. The ledger of the party is affected only by sales and purchase.
Okay. And
Sorry, sir.
hello. No issue.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Neither it effect on GST also, no?
No, not on GST as well.
Not on GST. Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next.
So moving on, Payal Gupta.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Payal madam.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah.
Can you show
Ma'am, your voice is not audible.
us again how to create a group company?
Okay. I showed it once. I'll show you once again.
Hello.
I'll show you once
Hello.
again.
Now I'm audible.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard your question. I will show you how to create a group
Yeah.
company once again. Okay, just hang
Okay,
on for
thank
a
you.
minute.
Yeah, I can.
I'm closing this sales order company. Okay, whenever you are trying to create a group company, the other two companies, the child companies, Payal madam, I hope you're listening to this. The two child companies should be open. Once you have the two child companies open, the way you normally go to create a company, press Alt F3. Alt F3, company info. Now it will ask you, give you an option called create a group company. Can you get this option? Is this clear? This
Yes,
is
sir.
where
Yes,
this is
sir.
how you create. Yeah, this is how you create
Okay, there's
create a
one question
company.
also. There are a lot of shortcuts of Tally. How can we get these shortcuts at one place? Is there any table in Tally?
There is one book recently which I have co-authored along with three of us, in which we have left one last page for shortcuts. To be very honest with you, the Tally users, when I come across in the market, they know far more shortcuts than what I know. If you know where the menu lies, that's good enough. I'll try and send you that. Please share your email ID with me. I'll try and send you at least one pager which I have as a shortcut listing.
Okay,
But
thanks.
please don't treat that as an exhaustive shortcuts. Okay, there will be very many shortcuts available.
Okay, thank you.
Next question, Kumar.
Mr. Nitin Agarwal.
Good afternoon, Nitin sir.
I think he's not there.
He's not there. Okay. Next.
Mr. Narsingam. Hello.
Is he there?
No, sir, doesn't look like. Mr. Veer Sakriya.
Is he there? Is
So
he
I
also
guess
not there?
we can proceed with the
Okay. We'll
seminar.
proceed with the
We
session.
can see the,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'll try and go a little slow. If you find I'm going too fast, then stop me in between. Okay. So we were at this Tally audit and analysis features. So this is display. This is audit and compliance. Audit analysis. We have gone through the first one of verification of chart of accounts. The next one is verification of balances. So this is where you get to verify the balances. This is the group wise balances. You can always get it in an ungrouped way by pressing Alt F1 and you get the details. Right now we have an option here, one of the features here called exceptions. Okay, so if you click on these exceptions, it gives you a balance which is profit and loss account. Now in this case, profit and loss account ideally should have a credit balance. In this case, it is having a debit balance, right? So it shows that there is a loss, especially when the opening balance was credit and the closing balance is debit, right? So this shows as the exception report only balances with exceptional things. Okay, and the other option is that balance variance. So now this is one of the fantastic report that we have. Okay, and you can see it in a grouped form, F5. So we can see what is my balance variance between the capital account. You can see what is my balance variance in my loans and liabilities. I can press shift enter and see how my loans and liabilities have performed. I can the balance variance between opening and closing balance. All those people who are good in audit and accounts feature, they will appreciate this particular thing. I get to know at one go what is the opening balance. If you see the columns, the first column is 1920, the second column is 1819. So basically I'm getting a comparative between the 2 years, the balance as of 31st March 20 vis-a-vis the balance as of 31st March 19, and I'm also getting a variance in terms of value and also getting a variance in terms of percentage. I'm also getting a variance in terms at a group level, and I'm also getting a variance at a ledger level. Okay, so I'm getting a variance at each level, ledger level as well as group level. This is one of the fantastic feature. I have seen auditors, internal auditors and accountants spending good amount of time doing this job to explain this and understand themselves, which is ideally ready-made available in Tally itself, and we are just not aware about it. So many times we always keep cribbing saying that what Tally requires is training and not additional features. Okay, I go to my next point. This is verification of balances. Let me just quickly run through my PPT. We have checked this. We have not checked the verification of stock items. Let me go back to this. Okay. Now I've used this Vaishampayan Associate as a company. So Vaishampayan Associate being a chartered accountancy firm database, it does not have stock items. So let me open my other company. Which has got stock. I'll go to audit analysis. I'll also have this now, verification of stock items as a feature. Similar to your ledgers, there is a feature here called not used stock items, not used in the current year and used only in the current year. So these are the similar type of report that we get. We had seen these reports in for ledgers. Now this is very similar report for products as well. Okay, I can see which product has been created when. These are the reports. First was verification of chart of accounts, second was verification of stock items, third was verification of balances. Now the fourth is analytical procedures. Analytical procedures is basically meant for comparison of two or more ledgers. Like for example, I want to compare my group with group. I want to compare my group of sales accounts with sales accounts for two corresponding years, 1920 and 1819. Okay, this is what I want to compare. Now I'm getting a whole lot of comparison. If you can see this report, you're getting a whole lot of comparison. You're getting two periods, 1920 and 1819, and you're also getting the closing balances of these ledgers, the sales services, the Tally software services, the Tally AMC services, the percentage of the total 100% sales का जो percentage है वो भी दे रहा है, and similarly it is also giving a comparison variance with the last year figures, and it is also showing whether there is a decrease or increase on the top. For 1819 there was 32 lakhs and 47,000. For 1920 it has become 31 lakhs and 89,000. So there is a decrease of 1.80% is what it shows me on the top, and in the columnar it is showing me the sales group comparison. In fact, when we do this internal audit, we spend a good amount of time and energy preparing this report, and then we claim that yes, we have done a great analysis, which is actually available at a press of a button in Tally. And believe me, you can have multiple comparison with multiple companies as well. It's not the same company. I have selected here a same company. This is one of the very beautiful feature of Tally as far as I know. I'll shift to the next point. This is as far as analytical procedures are concerned. Should I repeat this analytical procedure once again? Okay, nevertheless, I'll repeat it once again for the benefit of all the attendees. This is analytical procedures. Then you can go to group. I selected sales accounts as a group. I'm comparing my sales account as a group with the same company, but 2 separate periods, and I'm getting this fantastic report of comparison of my sales. Okay, let me proceed further. Okay, now these are my pending documents. I have 26 sales orders which are pending. I had created sales orders mechanism in Tally originally, the Tally database that I have, but I have not closed these sales orders. So it is giving me a list of all those sales orders which are pending. I have not closed. I am supposed to go and close the sales order. So it is my sales orders pending. It also shows me net pending receivables from 53 different transactions and pending payables from 115 transactions. Basically, these are all the transactions which are not squared off. Your sales receipts, sale has to get squared off against receipt, and payment has to get squared off against purchases. So now if those transactions are not squared off, it shows me that these are the pending receivables. The sales are pending and these are the payables are pending. So I have booked my purchase, but I have not squared off my transactions by making payments against each other. The knocking off has not been carried out. This is what the list of all those transactions which I get, which are yet pending. Okay, and these are the party wise bills where the party wise bills are pending, right? Fine. So now let me go to the next feature, statutory payments. Okay, this being an old database, it is talking about service tax. If it is a latest database, it will talk about GST. The statutory is a separate topic altogether, so I'm not getting into that because that will also require you to show you how to configure the statutory database. This is a feature, periodic receipts and payments. So you can decide if there are any indirect expenses, if there are any periodic receipts and payments, and these are the possible periodic receipts and payments. I can press space bar and I can say update, and this will be taken as my periodic payment and donations. I can put it as periodic and update and say this is my periodic payment. If I have a mechanism whereby I have been regularly giving some donations or I have been making this AMC for APBX, etc., then it becomes my periodic receipt and payments. This is where you can record it. It helps you for a report to be generated there. This is similar to that periodic transactions. You have some repeated transactions. Like for example, these are the transactions which have been repeated in various ledgers. So the tally gives you that in my tally sales, which is my TSS, which I sell it for 3,600 rupees. I have 183 repetitive transactions which hits there because the customers are different, but the sales ledger is the same. So it also gives me kind of a control as to this is how it is. Similarly, he's my supplier for tally licenses. So I get this transactions repeated. These are the number of transactions that I did with this particular supplier. So if I'm into the same business, if you're in a position to understand that business, this report will give you a good understanding to find out whether there's a particular value which is not relevant to the customer or a supplier. Okay, let me go to the next. In order to use these features of internal audit, it is essential that you should be part of that organization whereby you understand what the transactions are. Since this database is very close to me, it becomes very easy for me to understand. But since this database is new to you, probably it will take some time for you to understand what that report is trying to connote to me. This is one of the sampling techniques that is being used as relative size factor. It takes the highest transaction and the lowest transaction and a multiplier factor for the same. This is one of the sampling techniques that have been advocated find out if at all there is any party or a type of transaction where there are where there is a huge gap between the highest transaction and the lowest transaction. Let me go to the other analysis. This is your interbank transactions. Sorry, we change the company so that you will be able to see some reports. Interbank transactions are may not be there because there is no other company in Visa, other bank in Visa. There's only one bank. Okay. Let's go to Vaishnapan Associates. Let's go to other analysis. And now we try and see the interbank analysis. Okay, you can see a complete thing. Since this is a database where we have implemented the check printing module and bank reconciliation module as well, so you can see the instrument date being captured. You can see the date on which the bank the check has hit the bank. You can also see some of the transaction which has hit bank with so many number of delays, etc., etc. Instrument dates and the date on which it has hit the bank, and it also gives you number of days delayed. Okay, so whenever you have a very long delay, it's a matter of concern, and it's also a matter of investigation as to why it has got delayed. So like in this case, it has got delayed by 56 days. Maybe it's very essential for me to find out why this particular check clearing has got delayed so much, when specifically it is for interbank only. Same is the case with your cash withdrawal and cash deposit. This one particular bank account, and it gives me the total amount of cash withdrawal and cash deposits in this bank account. Total cash withdrawal and cash deposits in the bank account. It also gives me a fixed asset analysis. If at all there is any addition during the year, it also gives me what is the number of days, more than 180 days, less than 180 days, as well as the closure balance. You can also see it for multiple years as well, in case if you want to see the fixed asset analysis for multiple years. This is another critical report where it gives you if at all there are any transactions which are on holidays. Ideally on holidays there will not be any transactions because the company is not functioning, the accountants are also not functioning. So there is one sales that we have done on a holiday to Sahyadri Enterprises, and the rest all are e-receipts. E-receipts is customer must have transferred it on the particular Sunday, weekly off. Typically, we being chartered accountants, whenever customer get time, they do transfer their money into our bank account, and then we just record it on that day in order to have a proper bank reconciliation. This is highest and lowest value transactions. You pick up any ledger and it will give you the highest and lowest value transactions, the difference between the highest and lowest, and the difference range on the same as well. Okay. These are pending advances. I'll press shift enter. I'll say shift enter to get which are my pending advances. Also gives me a stale checks. This is that particular transaction which has become stale, and these are the other transactions which has probably become stale for whatever reasons. So this becomes a critical issue for me to investigate and find out why this particular transaction has been left as it is. These two reports are basically for external confirmation, where Tally actually allows you to import a ledger coming in an XML form, and it can be imported and compared with our ledger. So it basically allows you our particular ledger to be compared with the ledger, with my ledger in that customer's database, and compare and give a report. Since I do not have any other ledger right now, I will not be able to show you this feature, but both these features basically allow you to suppose X is having a ledger of Y in his books, then X can ask Y to give X ledger in the books of Y, and in the books of X he can compare Y's ledger in X books vis-a-vis X ledger in Y book, and he can get the difference. So something kind of a bank reconciliation. This is a party reconciliation. As far as GST is concerned, this is one of the greatest feature that we have typically in order to reconcile the input credit as well as the output credit liability, right? So this is one of the fantastic feature, though it is very rarely used and not known to people. Okay, Komal, actually at this stage I am kind of concluding with my internal audit feature. Now I will be going for a statutory audit kind of a feature. So I would prefer, if at all there are any pending questions toward this internal audit activity, I can take it up for 5-10 minutes, and then we can switch down to the statutory audit feature.
The remaining
Komal?
time of the webinar, yes, sir. So
Yeah.
if we have to take the questions, so one of the question being, in fixed asset analysis, will it show depreciation on the assets?
I need to check. Record this. I'll revert back on that. I need to check how that depreciation is reflected in the fixed asset analysis. I have not checked that report myself.
What was the related party transaction report? How can it be activated?
Relative size factor. Related party transaction report. You're talking about the bottom report. This report is what you're talking about. Okay, this is a related party transaction. Basically, Companies Act, Statutory Act requirement has this particular thing, whereby the related parties can be configured. I'll just show you. I have done it in my other database. Let me answer this question first. Go to my other database. I have created a related party in this database. Okay, so you can see there are 5 related party transactions here, and I just press enter to show you which are those 5 parties. So these are the transactions which have been worked out as a related party transactions, and you can check this transactions. Basically, Companies Act requirement is there to have the related party and MSME transactions being recorded, which is there as a part of your statutory audit. So there's a place where you can go and attach and decide whether the party is a related party or MSME party, etc., and give the data. Once that is there, this report particularly will show you that since Amit Vaishampayan, I am also a director in VServe Consultants, it shows all the transactions with Amit as a related party transactions. Is this clear? Komal, is this question answered?
Yes, sir. So next question was how to activate the audit analysis function.
There is no need to activate audit analysis as a function. It is required to be activated as a user creation. Unless and until you create security features user, initially I just showed you, I'll show you once again. In any company, you have this feature here called company info, alt F3. So you go to company info. So you have to go to company info, you go to alter company. And in this company, the moment you give this security control and give this admin passwords, your audit and compliance feature would be activated. There's one more activity here called Tally audit feature. I'll show you, explain you this feature also. You can say yes to this audit Tally audit features, and once you said this, done this, and saved the company, it automatically activates your audit and compliance feature. De facto, the way Tally is being currently used without creation of users, you may find that this particular feature is not there. But this is the de facto feature in Tally. What is required to be done is to create a user. You can either call me or my office, or you can talk to your Tally vendor. They will help you out how to activate this Tally audit feature.
Moving on, there's one query mentioned that when we go to audit and compliance, it is asking for name of admin and password, while when you are trying on your Tally, it does not ask for name and password.
Because I've
Is there
already
any
given.
special?
Because I've already given.
Okay. Sure.
Because I already given, and I've been regularly using this audit and compliance feature, so it is not asking. Probably the person user, when he is using, he's using it for the first time, so the system is asking him the admin password. Yeah. Next.
We can see if the hands are raised.
Okay.
Let's see.
We'll try and answer those hands.
Mr. Dhananjay. Hello.
Is he there?
Doesn't look like it. Just a second.
Next.
Mr. Vishal Jain.
Yes, ma'am. I want to
Do you
know
have
what is the please, sir. Please explain again about the number of delays
Number
shown
of
in the
delays
Tally report.
number of delays
In the
where?
audit features, uh, in the transaction between the banks and deposit into the cash into the bank or withdrawal, yeah, contra transaction between two banks. Because I have also opened my Tally, there is
Yeah.
no delay in the number of days, but Tally shows 400 days delay.
So you
For
drill down that
example,
transaction.
suppose I transferred my some money from X bank to Y bank. Tally
So
shows
you will be
400 days
having
delay. Yeah.
you will be
Yes,
having both the
pardon, sir.
banks with you, right? You will be having both the
Both are
banks with you.
yes, yes, yes.
So basically, I'll tell you how this report Tally is capturing. You have written a check on say 18th of May
Yes,
2020 from bank
yes,
number 1, and you have deposited the same check in the bank number 2 for 22nd of May. So there is a 3 days of delay.
yes, yes, exactly. This is three days, three number of days is delay, but the Tally report shows 400 days delay. So that I want to know
Okay.
what is the reporting meaning of the 400 days shown in
See,
the report.
basically, there must be the date that you have given must have gone wrong
Yes,
somewhere. Either it 18, 19, 19, 20, something like that. So if you
maybe,
change a
yes,
year,
maybe.
it
Yes.
simply goes to the next year kind of situation
Mm.
while passing a transaction there. What you are
Okay.
comparing possibly, or there may be a similar transaction 300, 400 days back. There may be a similar transaction.
Mm.
Then the next leg of that transaction must have been simply forgotten to be entered. Something like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Even that is possible.
Thank,
There is a payment
thank,
and the receipt is not recorded. Yeah, go ahead.
thank you, sir.
Welcome. Next.
So we have remaining 20 minutes for the session. I think we should continue.
Okay. 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 Then I'll continue with the statutory audit. I think there are a good number of questions, but you can send that question log to me. We'll try and answer all the questions one by one. Okay. And
Sure,
I've
sir.
also shared my number. Okay. Now let me start off with the statutory audit. Tally also helps you out with the statutory audit. By statutory, here is basically the Companies Act audit is what they're talking about. This audit and compliance feature again has this feature of audit documentation and audit analysis. Audit documentation is basically it helps you to create an audit program. Like for example, this is an audit program that I'm creating. Those people who are chartered accountants or in the fields of accounts and audit, I'll just show it to them. This is the firm's name. I've given my firm's name. I'm saying audit team would be consisting of partner, manager, audit team head, article 1, article 2, so on and so forth. And these are the normal details. And this is how the audit I wish to conduct. There is one help list which Tally gives you. So Tally has given you one, this balance verification. I'm saying estimated time required for balance verification would be approximately 2 days, and you can also go on recording likewise. So this is the place where you can actually go on recording the audit program the way you otherwise record. Most of the people who are from this audit field or who have worked with chartered accountants offices or who are pursuing chartered accountancy, they'll come to know that somewhere they keep recording this in terms of timesheet or something like an audit program. They keep on recording the time spent on a particular audit, and it is very essential these days to maintain the time spent on each audit and each type of an activity. So these are some of the list of activities which Tally gives you by default. If this is sufficient, it is good enough for you, or you are always free to add a new activity, whatever you feel as comfortable, and then you can create a program. Once all the activities of audit are done, then you can conclude saying that the audit program is carried out very well. Being a chartered accountant and a consultant also, I am aware about that there are chartered accountants who say, oh, this program is not all that great, and then you have other tool. See, we need to understand that Tally is basically not an audit program tool. It is basically a transaction repository. Nevertheless, despite of being a transaction repository, it also gives you a feature of audit program, and it also gives you a very nice audit program which will at least give you a control. First thing. Second thing, this audit program along with your Tally data gets saved. So if you have done one religious audit program for 1 year and saved it for the next year, this audit program of the previous year becomes very handy for you to know what all your queries were. It also helps you to actually record your query as well. I'll just show you here. Going back to this bank voucher entry. Okay, go back to this bank voucher entry, and it allows me to record my views. Okay, I'm in a position to record my views. Let me just so likewise your views will be recorded, and the same would be available for you for the next year's verification whenever you wish to make your audit program for the next year. So this is one of the fantastic feature. I personally believe that it is available with Tally, and when you take a backup from customers, clients at a smaller level, this becomes a very good feature. This is audit program. I believe I need not get into further details as far as audit program is concerned, because if there are chartered accountants, they already know what is audit program and how to do it, and Tally is a very simplest tool that you can have. The second is audit report. It talks about giving a ready-made audit report. Okay, now if any one of you is opening your Tally here right now, then you will not be in a position to see this report. Your report will be looking very similar, something like this. Okay, because this is the original report that they give, and this one is the report which I have copy pasted into my system. What I am trying to say is that you can simply press enter and copy a Word file and paste it here, and this is the complete audit report. This is an independent auditor's report which I have copied from Bombay Chartered Accountant Society, and this is a standardized report. You can have it, and we can always edit it here, and you can further add details to that in case if it is required. It actually allows you to edit that particular report itself. Correct? So this becomes, I can change the details, I can edit the audit report. Okay, so likewise I can change and make an audit report that is suitable to me. This is how it operates, and simply save it. Okay, so this is the audit report feature. The next is the annexure to audit report feature. This takes you very close to the annexure to audit report which all of us are giving along with our CARO reports. most of the companies, the smaller companies that we see, where there are less than 50 number of PCs, it is very difficult for them to have these type of systems, though they are private limited companies and they are subject to the same compliance which is there for a bigger company. It is very difficult for these companies to actually maintain all these records. So what happens as far as audit of these companies are concerned, it becomes very handy that you just go open this particular thing, fill it up religiously. If you go through this, you will realize that there are good number of questions one after the other, and you just have to fill up these questions religiously along with the accountant of that company, or if you're an accountant of a company, do it yourself. If you're an auditor, any which ways, because you're going to write this as a part of your annexure to reports, fill up this, write your comments, take a printout, and please do take the owner's signature on this. This helps you to have and this becomes a very easy tool for your audit documentation. It takes care of your great audit documentation, physical form in terms of audit documentation, soft form in terms of next year's reference. So it serves dual purpose: A, for audit program; B, for audit documentation; C, for your referencing for the next year. Now it is very well said that the fixed assets of the company are verified at a regular intervals by the company. We know the state in which the company's fixed asset records are maintained, and we know how difficult it is at times because there's only one or two accountants, and it's not physically possible for them to physically verify. If the company is big enough, it's not possible because the assets are physically located at different locations. Typically the furniture, the buildings, the repairs kind of activity that happens, it is not possible for the accountant to find out whether it is an addition to fixed asset, or there is a repair to fixed asset, or the new fixed asset have been procured at all, it has gone as an expenditure. All those things becomes a major challenge. So it becomes very essential that the respective person, location in charge, also signs this report, and it becomes a sacrosanct report. Especially this disposal, because there is also a TCS component on the disposal if you are selling fixed assets as a scrap. Then comes inventory. So you have physical verification of inventory, which normally the owners are aware about it. Similar to fixed asset, this also gives you a great deal of information, that this information can be simply stored, recorded, take a printout, and take a sign off. So it serves as a part of your audit documentation. It also serves as a guidelines for you to maintain proper procedure for physical verification. So they have been very well drafted questions, whether the stock taking procedures were reasonable and adequate in relation to the size of the company and the nature of business and the volume of stock. List the inadequacies and weaknesses so observed. So you have to say yes, no, observed, not observed, and put your remarks. And that's it. And the same information would be handy to you next year whenever you are going to do this audit. So this is your CARO reports. Likewise, I can go on for each of the features. You have this loan granted, to whom these loans are granted, rate of interest, the rate of interest is adequate, inadequate, receipt of principal amount and interest, steps taken to recover in case if there is a non-recovery of loans, etc. So for each of the features, if you see, there are enough and more and good number of questions that have been given there. These are ready-made questions. It's a questionnaire. One has to just open it, answer that question, record it. If at all you are an auditor, please take a printout or convert it into PDF, get an confirmation email from the either management or the accountant, and keep it as a part of your documentary record, the audit documentation that we typically follow. Okay, these are the standard questions that we have as far as audit report is concerned. Now, similar checklist is there for accounting standards. Komal, I am just getting into each of this CARO annexure. Is it fine, or you want me to go through each of the CARO audit report?
So whatever you think is important and you can cover it. You take the call.
Basically, there is nothing for me to explain it there. It is kind of a self-explanatory. This annexure to audit report goes as a part of annexure to audit report, and these are the questions that we typically answer. This may not be the last annexure which has been very recently released by Ministry of Company Affairs, but there are other questions as well, but this comes very close to what is finally the received there. Okay. For the time being, I'm leaving it as it is. If required, then we'll answer those questions in one-on-one question, because we have hardly 5 minutes left for closing our session.
Yeah.
So let me go to the next thing, which in my opinion is more important than others. This is second one is accounting standards. Is similarly, there are some 31 accounting standards that have been covered. So you can check with this. There are 16 more accounting standards covered, 16 plus first 12 accounting standards. So about 28 accounting standards is what has been covered, and you have to just mention there whether the accounting standard checklist has been confirmed or not confirmed. Similar to that, there is a standards on auditing. Again, good number of standards of auditing have been covered. SA 200 up to, there are 40 more plus the initial 10. So 50 standards of auditing have been covered. You have to go and mention there whether there is applicable, yes or no, and if it is yes, then whether that particular thing has been covered or not. So it's pretty elaborate in terms of giving you a kind of a checklist. One is as far as this balance sheet is concerned. Say for example, this is a balance sheet which it allows you. This is a Schedule 6 balance sheet. Let me take them to this. If you can see this as a figure appearing here in red, ungrouped equity and liabilities. Similarly, there is a figure here appearing in red as trade payables. Right now, this ungrouped figure, which is shown as in red here, is ungrouped. And those people who understand Schedule 6 balance sheet, now it is Schedule 3 balance sheet. Basically, it allows you here to regroup those figures of ungrouped trade payables. So there are these ungrouped trade payables. You can press enter. So these are the trade payables which are ungrouped. Okay, now all of us understand that Tally requires us to group these particular ledgers and their balances in a particular manner. And Schedule 3 now, the new Companies Act, also has a feature whereby you are, suppose this Amit Vaishampayan that is appearing here, this is appearing as a trade payables, and there is a balance as of March 2020 of 1,31,000 rupees. Now you have an option here. You can press Control Enter, and either we can distribute this entire balance to, say, trade payables, trade payable others, or we can partially distribute this. Right now I am saying this entire balance, so I can either say partially, or I can go back. I'm saying no, and I can say bifurcate the balance. So I can bifurcate the balance, and part of the balance can go as, say, out of 1,31,000 rupees, I'm saying 50,000 rupees I want to show it under trade payables others, which is my current liability, and remaining amount I want to show it as loans from related parties considered good. Okay, I'm saying as secured and considered good. So if you see this particular feature, this is one of the fantastic feature of Tally, whereby a single ledger with one single balance in Tally, as far as presentation is concerned, I can club these two balances at two different groupings. So I am allowed to regroup these balances without actually making any changes in my Tally ledger. So this is one of the fantastic feature of Tally. financial statements are concerned. I believe somebody is taking a specific session on this. If required, we can take a specific session on this. Okay. For the timing, I'm closing, and we'll take the question answer session because it's the last 5 minutes left.
First of all, I'd like to thank you, sir. So for the very enlightening session, and thank you to all the attendees. I can see there are a few queries with regards to GST as well. So to let you all know that we have the entire tally knowledge series planned up. So since we covered the internal and statutory audit today, we have the upcoming seminar covering inventory and outstanding, along with the GST and TDS's compliances, and some important tips for the business owners. So I request you all to be part of those. I believe you all have received the communication with regards to the time and link. Also, we can please raise your hands if you have any questions. So we'll take that one by one. So Mr. Sanjeev Gupta,
Yeah.
are you there? You had a query?
हेलो
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
सर, मैं संजीव गुप्ता बोल रहा हूँ। मेरा एक क्वेश्चन था, जब आप इन्वेंट्री के बारे में बता रहे थे,
जी बोलिए सर।
कंपैरेटिव
जी
अगर मैं एक कंपनी में फीफो रखना, दूसरी कंपनी में फीफो परपेचुअल रखना चाहता हूँ,
हाँ,
तो दोनों का स्टॉक मेथड कैसे कंपैरेटिव करो, कंपैरिजन में कैसे आएगा अलग अलग? एक में फीफो है, एक में परपेचुअल है।
सर स्टॉक वैल्यूएशन मेथड अगर अलग है तो उसका कंपैरिजन करना फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल ठीक नहीं होगा, because for any comparison you have to have the parameters same. I mean, you can't compare a 50-year person with a 12-year person. That's the kind of situation.
No, I just want to know which method is more.
So tally simply allows you to which method is important. Which method is important again is a discretionary question of a management or auditor, sir.
After comparison we may decide which method is to be followed.
Correct.
तो क्या ये दोनों फीफो और फीफो परपेचुअल कंपैरिजन में नहीं आ सकता क्या?
Sir, basically valuation method once the valuation method is applied, ideally I would advise to continue with the same valuation method irrespective of change in the valuation method, because tally has its implication in terms of if you change the valuation methods in between, some of your previous reports might also undergo change. So it is not advisable as far as usage of tally is concerned to change the method. If at all you are going to change the method, what I suggest is that suppose you have company A and you're using it at one with one database, and you're using FIFO as a method. You want to change the method from FIFO to FIFO perpetual, then you first copy the database and create another company called Tally Company A1 with FIFO perpetual as a valuation method, and then change the method of valuation into Tally Company A1 into Tally FIFO perpetual, and then take a printout of both, or take a export of both the databases, and then compare those two companies. So you'll have Tally Company A with FIFO and Tally Company A1 with FIFO perpetual, and then you're comparing, not in the same database.
हाँ जी सर, FIFO perpetual can be applied only when, since the tally is running 2 or 3 more years company.
Correct.
Right? FIFO perpetual is not suitable for a single year company.
Correct.
Right, sir?
Correct.
Some clients have been splitted the data after 1 year.
Correct.
Then how can I compare?
Just check if they have a data, if they have taken a backup of data before splitting, because most of the tally partners, we always insist to take a tally backup before splitting of the data. If that backup is available, then on that backup you can apply FIFO perpetual and check the valuation for yourself.
Yes, sir.
99% they would have written that data. Yeah.
No, we will advise most of client to split the data after audit.
Correct. But we also insist for maintaining a backup before splitting the data. So there will be a backup retained by either the IT guy or the accountant themselves before splitting of the data. At least wherever I am operating as a Tally partner, I definitely insist.
ओके सर.
Yeah.
सर एक चीज और था इसमें,
बोलिए सर.
जैसे बजट में आया है कि 5% से ऊपर अगर कैश पेमेंट नहीं है और कैश रिसीव नहीं है,
हाँ.
तो आपको पेमेंट कराने की जरूरत नहीं है.
हाँ.
तो अब कैसे पता करूं कि कैश पेमेंट हमारा कितना है?
सर कैश
और
पेमेंट का टोटल क्वांटम मिल
कितना
जाता
है?
है. दैट्स specific report to that the current budget announcement has not yet been released in Tally versions, but maybe the ensuing versions you can always look for that kind of a report. As of today जो भी version चल रहा है अभी 6.6.2 उसमें इस तरह का कोई report बनाया नहीं है, but since now that has come as a market requirement with a change in budget, you can expect the next release might have those type of reports as well.
जी सर. ओके. मतलब after implication then you will find that in Tally.
Yes, it should be there. Tally also keeps updating its product, so maybe in the ensuing versions you will be able to get those reports as well.
So can I advise for Tally?
Sure, sir. Your advice is always welcome. Komal, over to you.
Arvind sir, you would like to say?
Yeah. So fantastic. So first, I'm extremely happy to see the power of simplicity which already product has, added on top of it with the power of simplicity of Mr. Amit, as always. It was really a wonderful, very simple, basic session, and I'm sure, sir, there is a lot people would have taken in case they wanted. I'm so happy that we almost have over 350 people listening to it for almost 2 hours, which is
Thank you, sir.
a very, very wonderful thing. And many people have shown interest for whatever reason they are not coming. So thanks to all who have been there. And we are intending to have a series of simple Tally sessions for people to understand more of Tally. And we'll continue to do it more and more. And on behalf of all of us at Tally, would like to thank Mr. Amit, CA Amit Vaishampaya, for taking his time out and doing this in a wonderful way. And thanks for all the participants. My suggestion is, my request is, if it is a CA firm, I request all of you to ensure that your article clerks, your office people who do some accounting will also participate in this. Probably put a big screen and look into it. This will be available as a video in social media. Get people these basics in place. This will definitely help people to go ahead. And any suggestions, as the last participant was telling, please do write to Tally, please do write to Komal, please do write to Mr. Amit or to me. We'll be more than happy to look into it and take things forward. And if any of the other participants would like to conduct any sessions like this for the CA community, please let us know. We have a fraternity called Tally Evangelists, Tally Experts. We'll encourage you to conduct many sessions like this. And overall, whatever in the interest of Tally, we look forward for all your supports. This is the thing. And again, I want to thank Mr. Amit for doing this wonderful program. I am so thoroughly delighted about this. I'm very happy, sir. I understood many things. Even being with Tally for the last 20 years, wonderful things came to my mind because of you, sir. Thanks a lot.
You are being very modest. Anyway,
No,
I'm thankful to you.
You deserve to be. You deserve me to be very modest, because the people are there for the last 2 hours listening to you, and the pitch and simplicity in which you have taken is extremely wonderful, sir. And if people have any other topics that you want to conduct sessions from Tally, please let us know. We can do it always for you. So that is from me. Thanks to all. Komal, you can take it over.
So thank you all. Hope to see you all in the next session on 22nd, 3 to 5 p.m.
Thank you, Komal. Thank you all the attendees.